Welcome back to the Morning Brew right here on CNC3. Now, the Trinidad and Tobago government has a very ambitious plan to try and get us basically up to herd immunity by the end of September. However, in recent weeks, the uptake or the numbers of persons going to get either first jab of a COVID-19 vaccine has slowed significantly. Now they're voicing concerns that there is rising vaccine hesitancy in the country. I am being joined by Solon McDonald. He is a social and behavior change communications consultant of the organization Jabulous. We are going to be talking about how you move a population from vaccine anti-vaxxer to maybe vaccine hesitancy to vaccine acceptance. Solon, people have a lot of reasons for why they do not want to be vaccinated. How do you change their minds and get, especially when you're trying to get so many people to change their minds and act in a particular way for the national or maybe even the global good?
Good morning, and thanks very much for the invitation. The process of moving people from a hesitant position to a more active, engaged position has to start with understanding why people don't want to take the vaccine. What's your motivation? Is it that you have a fear? Is it that there isn't enough information, knowledge gap? Is it that you don't believe in the solution? Is it that you've been hit with information? So much information has been told to you about the negative impact that you are worried about those negative impacts, or maybe you're just in a position where you're on the fence and there's nothing that has yet motivated to be able to say, yes, I want to. So you find out, what's your motivation? Is it internal? Is it external? Is it just you, or will you do it for a loved one and help protect the community?
And what is the purpose of finding out that? Is finding out the reasons for not being vaccinated the key to convincing them, okay, I hear you, this is how I counteract that particular fear?
Yes, it's part of the strategy of understanding why someone would be resistant to something which is geared towards helping and supporting. Once you understand why people do something and you have a strategy to change it, you can utilize that information to understand which of the domains you need to deal with. Is it simply a knowledge thing and a cognitive thing? You don't know enough and you need to close it. You also need to understand, is it an affective domain thing? Is it an emotional cause? Is it that there are feelings involved about this impact? Or is it that there are action and action-related things? There are barriers which prevent people from accessing it. Some of those barriers are, based in the ideas that make people comfortable. Because one of the things that is always a challenge in changing is, do we look at the pain of staying the same and not doing this? Or do we look at the pain of change as the better option?
So I've noticed that the bad information really has taken hold, and that always seems more attractive or more catchy than the good information. So wear a mask, watch your distance, wash your hands doesn't seem to be as good as sunlight kills COVID, or the vaccine will give you 3G. No, the vaccine will make you magnetic and give you superpowers. Like, apparently, the naughty information is always more, people take hold onto that more. How do you combat that? How do you make the good information sexy?
But that's the key. You have to make the good information sexy. The bad information is sold. We have to understand that nobody just takes something up anymore. Nobody's given anything and takes it. This is not the take things free generation. This is the you sell it to me and I'll buy it. And unless we understand that we have to sell the good information, make it just as sexy, make it just as cool, make it just as attractive, then you understand that you're competing in a race that you won't win with the bad information. There is an entire body of strategy that goes into selling the bad information. And I keep saying the word selling because we have to understand this as a matter of something called social marketing. You want to get group behavior change. You want to engage people on a level that they understand. So the bad information has taken account of fears, has taken account of the negativity, has taken account of space between the access and lack of access to information, and takes advantage of that. We have to now understand that we have to do the same thing for the good information. We have to make it and encapsulate it in a way that it is sold rather than just the old school public health. We give you a chart, we give you some numbers, we give you some statistics. Now go forth and do what you do. It doesn't work.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of that. I mean, and I'm grateful that we've had these press conferences, but you can't expect every member of the population, because people receive information differently, to sit down and watch a 1 hour or hour and a half or 2 hour press conference and glean information from that. You can't also expect, and if you're not going to watch a press conference, you may watch the news or you may not watch the news, and some people are not even watching the news. So how do we get the information to them? Now, you have experience getting people to, engage in behavior change, especially in the health sector before. You were part of the Got It, Get It HIV/AIDS campaign. What is some of the stuff that you would want to see happen to make you be convinced that we can actually turn around our vaccine numbers in a positive direction and just have people streaming to the various health centers to get their jab?
We need elements of a cogent, competent strategy that looks at being focused on the customer. We have to be people-centric. That means that the channels that you select have to be able to reach people in various zones. You can't assume that everybody's going to sit, as you said, and watch an hour. Nobody's going to sit and watch an hour of it unless you have a vested interest. You have to start seeing things that deal with normalizing the discussion. Normalizing the discussion is important, because you have to cut straight through a lot of the conspiracy theories. Very much like it had to do with HIV and AIDS. You have to be able to address the fears. We have to be able to empower people. But we also have to look at peer support, because one of the things that's most critical in being able to turn the tide on any strategy regarding communication and leadership has to do with peer support. People have to see normal people like them that they identify with, being able to reach them. So we have to get into communities and get into, understanding who are the influencers, understand family dimensions as well, and who it is that shapes the opinions, who the people that are listened to, and look at things from a segmented standpoint, address the age, address where people live, address who goes where and who does what, and understand what are the consumption patterns for information that will lead you to change. A lot of people don't trust different sources. So we have to find out what are the trusted sources and start channeling the core kind of strategies to do that. And we also have to build capacity, because it's a hell of a walk from being afraid of a virus that you can't explain to trusting a solution. Solution efficacy is also a thing that we have to do. People have to believe in the solution.
Yeah, and it's funny you're using that term influence, and I feel like anytime we hear influencer now, I think social media, but that's not what you're referring to.
That's just one of the things. People are influenced by any number of factors and people. So for instance, you at a workplace, there is a colleague that you look up to. There is someone who always seems to be on the point or on the ball. And it's used in the same context, but along different channels.
Yeah, because I do remember I had a conversation with a friend a few years ago, and he was talking about, you have to go into the communities, you have to talk. There's always an elder woman, and she is the person who could go into the basketball court and get all those young boys to do stuff, and you wouldn't think so. And she's not, she's not necessarily afraid of, who other people are afraid of, and they have a certain level of respect for her, and that's also who you're referring to.
Those are gatekeepers. Those are gatekeepers in communities who are able to literally rubber stamp and give you the trust that you need to ensure that your message is listened to. But you have to be able to get at those people and have them introduce you and bring your public health message, but also cut some of the barriers. Yes, you announce where a location is, but there still is not a lot of education on the difference between vaccinated and non-vaccinated. People still have to grasp some of those things, enable the kind of skill building and whatnot that is necessary for people to come to a point of trust and activity, because that's where you want. You want the action to take place. You want the service uptake to take place.
Now, of course, the thing that concerns me is that everything about the vaccines and vaccine development and how is very technical language. So does that also complicate the behavior change, having to break complex information into simple enough bite-sized bits that people can accept and understand, at least to their level? Does that complicate the behavior change work that you all have to do?
No, it doesn't. It's actually an integral part of it. The idea of behavior change, when you look at how you segment your community and how you adjust the knowledge delivery, you ensure that people understand, because understanding is an important part of the change process. When you ensure that it's not technical language, it's not a matter of mRNA developed or inactivated, but no, you have people understand this, that this is something that jumpstarts immune. Rather than having to search through and try and find out for itself, which takes a longer period of time. And once that period of time goes, then your body is able to respond. It jumpstarts your response. That's where we go. That's the simplicity of how we have to break it down. We have to help people understand. So the idea of a vaccine is ensure that you have a ready waiting defense when you come into contact with it. And vaccines work in different ways. These are the places and spaces that we have to fill in the information gap, so that people make sense of why they should look at it, why it's a viable alternative. We have to look at also having people understand vaccinated means less likely transmission. Vaccinated means the likelihood of greater protection for you and the ones you love. So which is it? Where are we going to go? What kind of support do we need to give? Breaking the communication down into those pieces lies at the core of social and behavior change.
So the ERHA has launched this new program where they are going to the various, they're not just at the community centers, they have been going door to door. Our Otto Carrington had a very nice story with them on the first day of that door to door campaign. Is that the kind of stuff that we ought to be doing more of? Does that warm your heart to see that? Because we have had some... We've had some corporate ads, vaccinate so you could get back to fetting and stuff like that, which I think some people had issue with. Where do you stand? Which sort of method do you prefer?
It's not a preference. With social behavior change, it's a mixture. Understanding that various people will do things for various reasons. You can't just go down a single path. You have to involve several strategies. So some people, all right, vaccinate to operate. For some people, it's, all right, let's get back to the normal. For some people, it's, protect yourself and protect your loved ones. For others, it's, ease the squeeze. You have to look at various. It's not a matter of preferring a single methodology, because a single methodology doesn't work for everyone. If you look at any commercial product, there are several pieces that go into looking at understanding who are the people that you're trying to reach. The door-to-door is a fantastic methodology because it's an allowance for people to come into contact with someone who has the core information. And it removes the barrier of having to go to a building or having to go to some imposing structure or having to get into a taxi or transport and then go to face whatever the case is. So it's a matter of mixing the things that we do so that we have a number of different messages that appeal to different groups of communities.
Yeah, and of course, there's some people who have transport issues and cannot actually get to the site. So if you're coming to people's homes, you've just eliminated that particular stress. So, Salon, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I wanted to ask one more question. There has been a concern that maybe we've moved too slowly in doing behavior change communications. Is it too late? Is it ever too late to switch tack on how we convince people to do?
Oh, it's never too late. And the fact is we haven't done the behavior change communication yet. We're still, I don't see a cogent strategy. And it's never too late because you can address a challenge and an issue at any point in its occurrence and be able to turn it around and create service options. So it's never too late.
That's actually a very positive way to end this conversation because, you know, I was getting a little despairing when I saw the drop in numbers because, you know, we have been talking on this show about some of the, you know, recording agencies like Market Facts and Opinions that said, you know, you're going to see a rush and then you're going to see vaccine acceptance fall down, and we're kind of in the middle of the fall down. You know, so hopefully we get a handle on it soon and we can at least reach herd immunity by maybe October, if not September.
Well, the good thing is it's never too late. And when we in this field, we don't deal in hope, we deal in strategy. Because you can do it. It's something that's wholly achievable as long as we invest in the strategy and invest in the strategic pieces. Communities and people can be reached and behavior is changed. Consumption patterns are changed all the time. We just have to ensure that we invest properly.
Solon McDonald, thank you so much for chatting with us. Solon McDonald is a social and behavior change communication consultant. His company is called Jabulous, and we've been talking about combating vaccine hesitancy in Trinidad and Tobago. We are going to take a very quick break, but when we come back, we're going to be joined by Diane Henderson. She's the Vice President of the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee. The 2020 Tokyo Olympics has just ended, and we want to take a very quick look back.